Hello, Danny and Sound Devices team. I've been in touch with you via your website and the Facebook 8 Series group regarding this issue. In the group on Facebook, there's been several of my colleagues from the UK who've been saying that they've had the same issue, and the only way to solve it was to turn off and on the 888 for them to see the defective receiver, in a sense. So I'm just going to show you here what I normally do and what the scenarios are for this issue I'm having, and that you replied to me over email asking if I've reseated the SL2 on the 888 or the receivers onto the SL2. I've done that several times. I've also swapped bases on the receivers and reset them to factory settings. I've reset the 888 to factory settings. So yeah, I'm having this issue and I'm not sure what this might be. I'm just going to show you here what it looks like. So I have both receivers on SL2, on the SL2 menu, on the SuperSlot menu. I have both them on. So if I turn the machine and everything on, you can see that the machine will recognize both receivers perfectly and instantly. So if I go to the SuperSlot menu, you see all the receivers there. They're absolutely perfect and seen, and audio works flawlessly. But now if I go to options, slot power, this is where it gets tricky, because slot 1 receiver works flawlessly no matter what. But slot 2 receiver, which is the one I turn off and on once using the MC-R54 button while on the SL2 slotted in, is the one that gives me issues. I've swapped this from slot 2 to slot 1 and vice versa, and it is the receiver, the one that's causing this issue, because receiver 1, that is now 1, works perfectly in either of slots. So if I go now, flick it off and then flick it on, you see it'll take longer, the detecting receiver type message, longer than usual, but it turns on the receiver, like power passes through. But as you'll realize, if I go to the main menu, the bottom 4 channels are grayed out. That's here is when I'm getting the hiss and the static, and no proper audios coming from the receiver to the machine, no matter what I do. So this, if I try to flick it off and on again, sometimes it does randomly recognizes it, but you realize now that it's not recognizing it at all, because it's taking longer, the message, and as you can see, all 4 channels in the bottom are grayed out. So the only way to solve this, and as it is now on the menu, on the SuperSlot menu, if I do a power cycle on the machine, you'll see that now it will see it straight away, for some reason that I don't really understand. That's what everyone on the Facebook group is saying about having to do a power cycle to make the receiver being fully seen by the 888. Now if I go to super slot menu, you'll see all the channels are there. It's seeing both receivers perfectly. Now let's try to go and so say if I go to, let's try just with channel 1 to see that channel 1's, so slot 1, sorry, behaves perfectly. So if I turn it off and on, the message takes quicker, and if I go back, you see all channels there. But if I, for other, I go to slot number 2 and do the same, you'll notice that now it's not gonna like the receiver and it won't detect it. It takes longer, it powers it on, it gets full power, etc. But for some reason, there you go, all 4 channels in the bottom are literally grayed out and no audio, and that's where I'm getting static on these channels straight from, as this is on, but no, for instance that for some reason the 888 is not recognizing it, so I'm unsure what this might be. So let's try something else. Sometimes if I do this quick enough, it will somehow say it. Let me try. So now it's not seeing it, obviously, because it's taking longer to detect the receiver type, and now it's not seeing it. But sometimes it flicking it off and on, and it tends to be when I don't get out of this message, this page on the super slot menu. Now you see it's in it. So if I go now, turn it off and on, now looks like it's taking longer, so it won't be seen at all on the machine, as you can tell. It's a weird one. So if I go also options, if I flick it off here and then do a power cycle, now it will only turn obviously receiver 1 on as the other one's off. But when I hit the menu, go to super slot, go to power menu, and then I flick it on, I don't think it will see it now. It's not seeing it at all. As you can tell, you see, still not grayed out. So, but it might see it on the second attempt. And it tends to be when I do it quick, somehow, I don't know. And now it's not gonna see it. You see it takes longer, not seeing it. And now I go off and on. And it might, at some point, like it, and then all of a sudden it sees perfectly and it works perfectly, all channels, everything. You see, now it's not seeing it, but let's do this without moving off this menu. It's not liking it, as it was off from the start. So this might turn it on properly if it was on from the start. But whenever it's off from the start, it very, very rarely sees it. You see, and now as it is on, as you can see, both on. So if I now do a full power cycle, you'll notice that it sees it perfectly, and you'll see all 8 channels working flawlessly. To doing my heading, this, but I'm not sure what might be, to be honest. And there's several people on the groups. You see, there you go. Now it's after the power cycle, it's all there. It's weird, and I don't know. It does my head in, and I don't like turning the thing off and on all the time on jobs. So now I've turned it on and off and on, sorry, and it takes longer to detect the receiver. And you'll see it doesn't say it. But then if I randomly try this again, it might all of a sudden say it, because at the start it was on. So the power initially when starting up the machine was on the menu was on. So now still not see it. Let's try once more. See if it sees it. I'm gonna try it. Now it's not seeing it, obviously, because the message is taking longer. But let's try to do it quicker here. Sorry. And it might like it out of the blue. So this is not being detected now, but if I do it swiftly, it might detect it now, hopefully. Sometimes it does. I think it's done it. There you go. Now it's seen it if I do it quickly without leaving that menu, power menu. So it's super weird stuff. So thank you very much. I hope this helps you understand. I understand that I've reseated all bits and bobs several times, SL2 to the machine and the receivers to the SL2. I've swapped base plates, I've power cycle, I've done factory resets on everything, and this still continuing. And both receivers being used on a normal base plate work perfectly. And if I hot swap the super slot plates on both receivers, it carries on doing the same. So I think it's got something to do with the receiver more than the base plate or the SL2 or the machine. But I'm not entirely sure how all this communicates. So obviously I'm a bit clueless. I hope you make sense of this video, and I hope to hear from you guys soon. Hopefully we can troubleshoot this, as this is a known issue from a lot of colleagues I've spoken about, and some of them commenting on my Facebook post have said that this is a known issue, that they always have to do a power cycle for one of the receivers. I hope you can help me fix this, and yeah, that's it. Thank you very much, guys.